Okay. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Miyoko from Japan. Welcome back to my channel. I'm finally live from rainy Fukuoka, Japan. How are you guys doing? I am so sorry I'm late. Like, it's later than the usual set time, and plus, it's later than I'm supposed to be live. Like, after I set the schedule, my stomach started to ache again, and I had to run to the bathroom and blah 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 blah. Blah. Sorry, just how I am. But thank you always for coming. Hello, all. Hello. 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 Meow. Oh, super chat. Thank you so much. As always, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So good that you're what's the word? Consistent or constant? I don't know. Like you it's always fighting. That's great. Thank you so much for your support. It really, really helps me. Thank you. Start tonight fighting. Late Yoko. Yeah, I should probably change my name to Late Yoko. It was funny that I recently, went to see this gaming live stream after forever, and then the viewers somehow know me, right? Like I stand out, obviously. um, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, Yoko-san, you are here too, right?" Like people started to notice, and then I named myself there as Everywhere Yoko because they see me everywhere. I sometimes do that. I play with my own name. Oh, again, Super Chat, thank you. Rearm Japan, every man and woman and child. Yeah. Um, we need our military, seriously. I tweeted this earlier, but the Chinese ships are entering into the seas around our island, islands, Senkaku Islands. That's those islands belong to Japan officially, and it's proven historically, with the historical documents. Like we have maps and everything, and on China's side, they don't have anything, to back that up. And so it's our territories, but they want to for China, they want to expand to the Pacific Ocean as officially claimed, right? Like they have the Chinese dream. And also back in, I think it was like 2008, they said they like it's not even a joke. They said that they want to conquer the Pacific Ocean, like in like half of the Pacific Ocean, and then the half of the rest can, the US can take the other half. So that's their thing. And in order to go to the Pacific Ocean, Japan is in the way. So yeah, they are expanding, like they have their lines to conquer, first this line and then this line. And of course Taiwan is one thing, but Senkaku Islands is another. And the news that I saw earlier said that they are coming into our sea around Senkaku Islands, which they want to take so that their territories expand. But that they kept coming into our sea for 102 days in a row. So, and part of that is like, of course, China is bad, but what's as bad is that our politicians don't fight back. We're basically letting them, do whatever they want, and that's why they keep coming in. So we have to stop them. Anyways, hey. What's high in the middle and around at the both ends? Ohio! Ohio! Okay. Let's see. Just scrolling down to see. Your job is calling. I know, right? 20 minutes late so you can legally leave class now. Oh no, I will make a horrible teacher or professor. Hey, Yoga, hey. Looking elegant as always, yeah. Ah, that's all. My husband was taking a nap and He just woke up and the first thing he says to me is super chat, the yellow super chat. Did you show that? So funny. But anyway, okay. So let's go to the comments. Democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what to have for lunch. Liberty is a well armed lamb contesting the vote. Huh. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, democracy. It's like democracy and dictatorship, like they both have the good and the bad, right? Like I can kind of I'm not justifying dictatorship, but I can understand why dictatorship does work, you know. That sometimes you gotta ignore the people and lead the way, and that works, it, and the only problem is that they lead to the wrong direction. But yeah. Oh, do I see super chats? Super chat. Oh, thank you so much for super chat, Gary. The same name as my first American boyfriendish person. Hello, Yoka. I noticed Prime Minister Kishida has been making a lot of overseas visits to other countries. Is it normal for Japanese Prime Minister to travel so much? It is normal, but I think that Kishida in particular, especially this season, he's probably preparing for G7. That's when is that? Later this month, I think, that it's gonna be held in Hiroshima, which is his home prefecture. So one thing is probably that he is going to like he was visiting like Europe and America and so on, and that's for just preparation, right? And right now I feel like he's preparing in a way that he wants he wants to have something to announce or declare at the meeting, of G7. Maybe that's it, but I don't know. Like, I don't have information, so that's just my hunch. But at the same time, I think that like our prime minister works in coordination with the US and other, developed countries. So that might be, or the countries from the free world. So maybe they have roles, I don't know. But it is, I our prime minister, I don't know how active they were globally before, but what changed the policy or the culture of prime ministers is the former prime minister Shinzo Abe. He actually had this oh man, I have a screenshot of that English phrase, and let me see if they have the oh yeah, this that Abe's diplomacy was called something on the line of the diplomacy that takes a panoramic perspective of the world map. I don't think it's a world map or terrestrial globe. Diplomacy that takes a panoramic perspective of the terrestrial globe is the diplomacy that Abe was doing. And so he visited like literally all over the world, and that's how he took in all the countries, including Africa and others, that are so far away from here. And usually, China and the US are investing in, but Japanese administrations were not doing that enough, I guess. And so Abe changed how we do diplomacy. And Abe was also good at English too. And he had like being good at English doesn't only mean that you can communicate in the language, but also it it gets you this international sense, you know. So I know that he had this broad, like very, I don't know, he was looking at the world in a different ways than like the majority of us. So that, I guess, that gave him great perspectives too. And also he knew how to listen to experts, and he knew the good ones too. The, like, the ones that I realized are good are were like turned out to be uh the close friends of Abe and so on, like the, you know, experts on the US, whether it's the experts on the US or China, like those who I like were liked by Abe before he was assassinated. So yeah, that's so interesting. But anyway, so yeah, that's what our leaders do now. At least Kishida is trying, you know, and I bet that the US is pressuring us too. It's good because we are working together, you know. We Japan has to contribute in diplomacy at least, right? Because we can't contribute militarily. So I think it's good that Kishida is trying, you know. I don't think he speaks English, but yeah, Abe can, you know, Shinzo Abe couldn't, like, he was able to speak English, but when it comes to, you know, like official statements and so on, he used interpreter. So yeah, anyway, oh, thank you for your super chat, Eric. Always thank you so much. 10 friends from the semiconductor industry and I are starting a blueberry farm in Oregon. Blueberry? Wish us luck. Hope you and your family are well. That's so awesome. Like blueberry as in agricultural stuff. Blueberry farm, like literally blueberry farm. That's amazing. Oregon sounds so beautiful. I used to have a online friend there, and he was a guitarist, and I was talking to him when I was a teenager. So like I saw the pictures and so on. It's so beautiful. Oh, nice. That's cool that you have the sense in business to like, yeah, farm. That's cool. I wanna eat. I wanna eat. Man, just so you know, it's raining and I have a window, like not on the side, but on my ceiling. So like the rain sound is like distracting me. Man. I should have chosen a different room. Like there's a one like another room next to mine, and that's my husband's room, and that just has a normal window, not on the ceiling. Anyway, let's see. Should I go back or Yoko is a teacher we all wish we had. Thank you. I'm actually good at teaching. It's in my blood for some reason. PM Kishida will be meeting with the South Korean president, but again, he will probably announce some extra aid that will benefit South Korea. Yeah, not sure how it will go. Like, I really hope that he doesn't apologize or give additional aids. I agree with that. Like, I really hope that he doesn't. And rather, conservatives in Japan are, as you know, wanting the president to apologize for past actions of themselves, like aiming at our, was it in the like in the ocean, the radar thing. And yeah, I don't know how to say that in English, to aim at your like they basically targeted us, basically, right? Like we could see the radar or laser. I don't know English. Ah, CCP has no respect for any other nation. They arrogant. Everything. Oh yeah, I see that. Thank you for your super chat again. Also, are more young people in Japan getting involved in politics? I saw a new report on WION about the youngest mayor of a Japanese city, and they talked as if this were the beginning of a trend. What I do see is that it's not on a national diet member level, but on the local election levels, I do see in my prefecture as well that, like, the older people have had like a long terms of their job, and then it's like the generation change time. So usually those who have a career and all this history or like a legacy and so on, those who have all these records of great job done, they win, right, in elections. But sometimes, like, I see recently that young people with no attachment win somehow. And and I think that it's a time that's happening, and that it happens every once in a while, every once in a while, of course. And so I do see that. But that young mayor that you are talking about is a special case. He's super duper smart. like we're like, when we look at his resume, like, we're like, wow, like blown away, and we laugh because it's something that we cannot achieve, like, yeah. And the youngest too, that's crazy. But I think that the media reports, the media outlets report him like this, so that probably is stimulating young people too. But there is another thing. I'm rather concerned about this other trend, that is terrorism. And so recently, Prime Minister Kishida was attacked by this wannabe terrorist, and he threw a pipe bomb, right? And Kishida was safe because the girls and the local people, helped a lot when it was thrown and so on. But what the suspect is saying, to justify his terrorism or whatever he is doing, is that he said that he wanted to become I believe that he said that he wanted to run for elections, but it's too expensive and so on. Like he was complaining about the system, right? About election. So instead of working politically, he or waited out, to be old enough, he did that sort of action. And that's the result of, like, it's a continuation of media's report. First the media was agitating the hatred towards Shinzo Abe, and hearing that there came this man that assassinated Shinzo Abe. And then the media after that praised the assassinator of Abe, saying that, like, oh, he's fighting for this big cause, even though the killing is bad, this is what he believed in. And like, they were praising the murderer. And this new guy saw that sort of reporting and then he's influenced, and now he threw a pipe bomb to against Kishida, right? He's arrested now and so on. But and then simultaneously, I see that, like, we just had elections, right? But there were young people on the news. I don't know how they ended up on the news. Maybe they held a press conference or whatever. I don't know how. I don't remember how how they got on the news. But I did see young people complaining about the system. Instead of wait it out to be a politician and then change it for the younger generation. Like, they force the change, and that's a dangerous trend that I'm seeing in our society. So yeah. And young people though, I don't think that they've changed With the spread of the internet, of course, people are, more like alert on politics. But Japan is a country that only half of us go to vote. So I don't think that it changes anything. But maybe if there is also another trend I should mention, is that there are like, because of YouTube and so on, social media's influence, young, it's not young people, but there are casual people that just want to be casually become politicians, because they want to be famous or they want to have power or whatever. And so like big name people get elected now, like the former NHK party, like they want to destroy NHK, but they keep changing the name. But they started this weird tactic to do strange or controversial things and appeal to the public, and then people think it's funny and then vote, and then they get elected. So that sort of culture is there too in elections. So that is something that some young people are interested in, but not only young people but elderly people too, because my local housewife friend, my mom's friend, voted for the party before for fun. And that's just like they want to see what would happen. So like our level can be low. So yeah, you kind of now get a picture, I guess. I hope. But that's a great question, thank you so much for asking. Okay. Let's go down. Yoko, what is your Japanese thoughts towards traditional Chinese medicine? Like in like Oriental medicine, you mean? Like a kampo and stuff like that. I think that's it. Traditional. That's what you mean, right? Kampo. Yeah. I'm very interested in that, and I like my Japanese sense tells me that it works, but it's more of, I don't know if it, like, what's interesting about the Eastern culture is that we look at things as a whole, so we don't cure that one specific thing, but we cure everything, so that as a result the, you know whatever problem you have will be solved. And so yeah, for that I am interested. I think it's good that we have that sort of medicines as well. And I personally wish that I was more familiar with stuff like that. And I also want to learn pressure points, because it does work. I pressure some points now every day for my stomach. Yeah. What else? So, what did I put in the title today? Title 42. Yeah. It's so stupid. I mean, for title 42, I mean, it's like it expires, right? Is what's happening. And then what Biden is doing doing about that is ridiculous, because he is sending additional, like there are 2,500 troops already, I guess. And then 15, the Biden administration is sending 1,500 troops, but for 90 days. I don't know. I don't think it's effective. And it's interesting to see that both sides, Democratic Party and the Republican Party, both are complaining about how Biden is dealing with the situation. So I thought that was interesting, because people like Omar from the Democratic Party she's complaining, saying that it should be like, people should be able to be rescued, right? Like refugees should be welcomed, blah 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 blah, right? And it's wrong to guard them with armed people and so on. And the Republican side is saying that it's not enough, or just just reimpose the Title 42 again, and so on. So I feel like Biden is trying to be liked by everybody, and as a result, he's disliked. And so that's why you should have your own policy, right? It's so silly. Oh man. Tell me about Komeito. Wikipedia says they are conservative, but every Japanese person I follow on SNS dislikes them, even Sanseito supporters. Komeito is a religious party, basically. Like the party is a different but they're they basically equals to this religious group, Soka Gakkai, and I believe it's Buddhism. And back in the day, they were, so we have, you know, like a mini Buddhism thing, like a, how would you call that? How would you call that? Like there's like a Buddhism, like we have the ancestors' name, or our past, like generations above us, like your grandpa and so on. We put special names, and so we have the paper standing, and we have a special place at our home where we can put the shelf and so on. But then that supporter group, the religious group of the supporter group of Komeito, called Soka Gakkai, which pretty much equals to Komeito, um, they would, invite new people, right, to their religious group. And then they they would take that old shelf, like a Buddhism thing that the people used to have before, and then smash them down to the street in front of their house and so on. Like they were so violent, if I may say, in a short words. uh, so they were kind of violent and very extreme religiously, so that's why they were kind of controversial. And today, the problem that we have with Komeito is that they are pro China, like basically. And every time, LDP, the other governing party, the main governing party, every time LDP comes up with something good, for our national security or our economy, or even our resolutions against China too, it's always Komeito, the other governing party, that opposed to what LDP is doing. That's crazy, right? The ruling parties, we have two ruling parties, and that's our administration. And they are fighting inside the ruling parties. So that's one of the reasons why our politics suck right now. But LDP depend on them because Komeito is basically a religious group, right? So then what that means is that, and they've had a long history too. So they have their organization is structured very, very well, and it's like it's spread in an entire Japan, and people, like the terrorists that assassinated Shinzo Abe, complain about the Unification Church and how it's influencing Japan and so on, our politics. And they complain, the assassinator's supporters, they complain about how the religious group, the Unification Church, is affecting our politics. But we have this religious group inside of our ruling party, and they never complain about that. Why? Because that religious group is very powerful, even in like TV related industries too. Like they are everywhere. They're everywhere. like in big companies or local schools and so on, or even like a celebrity world too. And so nobody can complain, and that's the dark side of Japan. But anyway, so I mean, let's get back to their system. They're organized very well. So what happens in elections is that, and they're super religious too, right? The people that belong to the group, so they work very, very hard in elections. Nobody wants to do hard works in Japanese elections. In Japanese election, we have to go door to door or call all the people that you know, and or have a gathering and organize everything. And also during the election period, you've seen me do that before probably, but you have to get in the band and do that, all that waving and like yelling and all that sort of stuff, and give out handouts or flyers, and you do all this crazy work that nobody wants to do, like all day long, for like months, right? And but they do that. That's the Komeito group. They do that. So that's why LDP cannot do that much. Like, it, of course, depends on each candidate, but it's easier, right, to get a help of Komeito like that. Like, they have this organization, and they have people that can work as activists, basically, right? So for the election, and so LDP want that help, and that's why they're combined together as our ruling parties. And but as I said, Komeito is very pro-China, especially the current leader, Mr. Yamaguchi, and he goes to China very often too. And also, but what's interesting is that I know this because my husband and I were working very hard on the resolution to uh to like I mean, resolution against China. We wanted to criticize China's human rights violations, happening to Tibet, Uyghurs, and Mongolia, Hong Kong. And so we were working on that, but of course Komeito opposed, and we had to change the wording, and the resolution doesn't even make sense. It's so soft. At least it's issued now, so it's cool, but it's not as effective as we thought. And then we even visited the Komeito building too. But anyway, so inside of the Komeito, or the Soka Gakkai, the religious group, though, it seems that there is a gap too. The leader is, I mean, the party leader is like very older, right? Like, how old is he? He is, but he looks young though. Oh, but 70 years old. And so people around his age, inside of that group, are they tend to be pro-China, because that's like, they are, back in the day, like even America, right, and Japan both were going to invest in China, right? Like, they were the fact, China was the factory back in the day. That's what we thought, right? And so we were investing in, and so the generation, from that age, like, those who are around 70s or so, like, they are very pro-China. They tend to be pro-China. They think that China is a good country, that which we raise partially, and blah blah blah. So then what happens to the religious group is that some of, I don't know the ratio, but I've heard from somewhere that young people are actually going against to the elderly generation, even within the religious party. So yeah, young people see what's happening, what China is doing, like, to the Tibetans, Uyghur, especially Uyghur people and Hong Kongers today. They saw that on TV live, right? So yeah, so now young people know, but the elderly people, they have this mindset that they can't change. So, but I think that the time will, ease that problem. I hope this answers your question. Like I hope at least you get the image. Yeah, thanks for asking. Did you watch the coronation of King Charles? Yes, I did, but there was only one channel in Japanese on Japanese TV last night. To us, it was from 7 p.m. Yeah, it started from 7 p.m. I think, and also I just simply wanted to see the ceremony, and what happens afterwards. But the our TV has to be entertaining. So like this guy, he's actually a leftist, but this old guy, he he had a TV show, and he was explaining, what it's like in the UK, and also you know about other kings in the world too. What was interesting was that the guests to the shows didn't know that it actually Japan has the longest history of our, like, what you call emperor. Yeah, and it's we have the longest history, but Japanese people don't even know about it because of our stupid education. Huh. But anyway, yes, I saw that, and it was so cool. I got like goosebumps when, you know the man, I don't know what he's called. He's the leader of the church, I guess. Gave he put the crown onto King Charles, and then he said, God save the king, and then everybody was God save the king, and I was like, oh. I was like, I love stuff like that. It's people becoming one, and doing the same thing like traditionally. Of course, it's like it's different. The history in the UK is different, very much different from the history of Japan. So it's like blood after blood. Like, of course, we had our warriors, like a samurai, and we have blood, but like in a different style. And it's like it's a different thing, but however, like there's like this king line, they survived, and they've been the king or queen, and like it's so cool that it's just they keep that tradition, and then the crown itself has history, lots of luxurious, what you call, I forget the word always somehow, because I jewelry. Why did I forget that? Jewelry. Uh, so yeah, it's so beautiful. It's so heavy though. What's cool about Japanese TV is that we have issues with our TV leaning towards to the left. However, they give a lot of information, and they were explaining how heavy it is and how many calories the jewelry has, and so on, and also the golden, what you call, uh, carriage. Carriage, is that what you call carriage? Carry, I don't know, horse-drawn carriage, horse and buggy. Yeah, the golden thing, it was beautiful. And again, it's like they had two kinds on the way to the place. It was the somewhat automated version, like inside they have air conditioning is on, but the old one, after he got the crown, um it's the older version, the one that all the past generations have got on, and it's very uncomfortable because it's old and blah blah blah. They were explaining stuff like that too. Yeah, and the crown itself that he wore for a little while, and then when he gets out, I believe that the crown was exchanged to this lighter one. Still heavy though, but yeah, Japanese TV was explaining stuff like that. So Yeah, it was beautiful. It's I really hope that I also saw though that like even here on Japanese TV too that I saw that there are anti monarchists protesting against King Charles and saying like no my king. Uh, that's that's awful. That's really awful. And we do have in Japan, we do have that sort of people, but only a tiny little bit. So like it's almost invisible, but politically speaking, there is like a very like handful of people that do that sort of stuff, that they have a political group to be against our emperor, but their intention is to attack our history to have a revolution, meaning they are communists, of course. So yeah, so I see the similar things that happen. Similar things are happening in the UK. I think that anti-Trump movement and BLM uh, kind of agitated that side too. I think. Isn't it weird that what's different about the UK system is what I heard. This is something I heard yesterday on TV, and I was surprised. But the the royals have like a real estate, right? That's a word, right? So they have income, not Japanese one, but they do. And then it's like communists always complain about happy people, right? And like whenever they see happy people, they just want to attack, and they say that they are exploiting them, even though it's not really them exploiting you, because nobody's stopping you. You can make efforts and rise up, right? And of course you might not be equal to what was previously there, but you can still like do whatever you want in the system. But they refuse to do that. They just opposed to that, saying that they are exploiting us and blah blah blah, and then they attack and sometimes go violent and try to change the system. Communists, man. Hello, Yoko-san. Hello. Good evening, Yoko. Good evening. It's 3 p.m. today. Right now, I mean. Let's see. Traditional Oriental medicine is worth looking into. It's been refined over hundreds of years. Yeah. I think that what we need to do globally, whether it's politics or in medical field or whatever it is, that we have to combine both, and it's good that now we have the internet, and also we have less language barrier, like we can just put everything in the translator online, or whatever you have, and it works. And so we can communicate better now, and that means that we can share information. So man, I'm annoyed by my own accent, man. Those who have studied the language should know, but like my ears are good because I constantly listen to American English like all day long. You have no idea. All day long I listen to American English, right? And then I speak like this, and I can see the difference, you know. But then my tongue can't do it. And it's so annoying. But anyway, at least it makes sense to you, so that's great. Let's see. Did you see that Epstein was hanging out with the now director of the CIA? No, I'm not following that stuff. Mm, mm. Oh yeah, pedophilia guy. Yeah, it's it's such an American issue that, or I mean, like on the surface, right? Like I don't know about my country when it comes to stuff like that. Um, but yeah, because of a popular boxing match. Oh, there was a boxing match. Cool, cool, cool. I can't understand for what purpose the LDP continues to form a coalition with the Komeito. Perhaps the CCP through Komeito is trying to sabotage its policies so that Japan never again be a normal. Yeah, yeah, I agree. CCP, CCP is using Komeito definitely. Yes, yes. Yoko, did you ever work at the Arai factory prefecture, perfecting attaching the decals? What is Arai factory? What? Like a motorcycle or not sure what you mean, but they don't teach Japanese students what happened tonight. You're talking about propaganda that is already defuted. Re- refuted, I mean, refuted. I was taught in school the Nanking Massacre, only to learn after a decade of that education. Like I learned when I was 28 or so that it was fake. What's written on the textbook is fake. I was so angry, and that's something that actually Nanking Massacre was the very first thing that I learned about propaganda. So I was like, I got furious about our education, and that is basically one of the things that started this political career for me. So I prefer the Japanese monarchy over the British. That family actually makes me sick. Um, Japan's, Jap- our Tenno, our emperor, is different from kings in the world. He's Tenno, our emperor, is traditionally, historically, he is just there. He's just there. Um he doesn't control us, or he doesn't exploit us. Rather, there's a record from like a long time ago. This one Tenno at the time noticed that the local people, like usually when they cook you can see the smoke and so on, right? But then he one day realized that he's not seeing that, and then I think that he cut on his meals or something, that he is with us, like he represents Japan, but he's just there, and we're like, thank you. And that's all what it is. And yeah, it's really bad though that when we lost the war, the World War II, we had like many families, the imperial family. I don't like to call us that, but because imperial, like it sounds bad, but it's not like that, But anyway, but we have many families in that system, or it's not system, but it's our culture. It's like we have families, right? And then, but after we lost the war, it was cut down. So now we don't have many enough. So that's another problem that we have. Man, you should never ever lose. in war. You gotta win. Like our people tried their best though. Like they did their best, and I know, but it just sucks. Uh, 2 a.m. there. Oh my gosh! Thank you for staying up. My accent is very cute. That's cool. Thank you. Uh, Traditional Oriental medicine more than Chinese. It's cheaper alternative to the profitable pharmaceutical industries. Yeah. Oh, so there's a difference between the traditional Oriental medicine and Chinese ones. You know what's interesting about speaking of Chinese? Um, it's a little bit a while ago. I think the when COVID was still spreading, Chinese people came would come to Japan, or no, they couldn't come. So that was those who are living here as workers or students. They would Chinese people in Japan would buy Japanese medicines and send them back home. And so like we didn't have enough medicines, they just disappeared. And it was not like a shortage, I think, but in some areas like in Tokyo and so on, like I saw the news that Chinese people are buying up and sending them to China. So yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, so I did talk about South Korea too and China too. Okay, and 10 minutes to go. Any more question? Mm, Most people find the sound of their own voice annoying. Your voice is nice. Don't worry. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Voice is very interesting. It's weird. Real estate. Yes. Yoko says her husband looks like a baby. Yes, he does. He needs eyebrows. He needs eyebrows. One of his classmate, it's not classmate, but like, same grade, somebody from his grade, who's now of course older now, but sometimes look at my husband's picture, so my husband's friend looks at my husband's picture and says that, hey, Ishi, you're losing your eyebrows every year. Like my husband's eyebrows are so like you can't see the color, but he does have hairs. It's just not as aggressive like mine. So, but anyway, the more you know. Yeah, the rainbow thing, right? The more you know. I used to watch this vlogger CDFXC before they broke up though. So it's Charles Trippy. Yeah, there was a guy Charles Trippy, and he was using the more you know in the video, so I know about it. I'm here, I slept in, but cool. You woke up for me. Thank you for coming. This is a very effective way to use your time. You can ask me questions and I'll talk about stuff. Yeah. Tenno banzai. Yes. Otani banzai. He needs an eyebrow pencil. Yes, he does. Fake eyebrows. As bad as fake news. Uh, I'm sure there's difference between traditional Chinese medicine and traditional Oriental medicine. It might just be a name difference. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Um, our culture, in Japan, it's like back in the day, like China and Japan had lots of trades, and also like we were communicating when it comes to culture and so on very well. So like we were influencing each other. there there are lots of controversies though, like who started it first, the chopsticks or the kanji, like which one started first. And usually you think it's China, but like some people oppose to that. Like I'm not an expert and I don't really care about that sort of stuff too much. Like if it's something that I can be proud of, I will be. But like I don't get that passionate about that sort of stuff, because like when it comes to history, like you have to dig, right, to find all the remains and so on. But when it comes to Japan, like my local area, it's said that there are lots of remains, but it's underneath and we have already built a big city over it, so we can't dig it anymore, right? So you will never know. So usually when you find something, it's from the rural area. But anyway, anything else I wanted to talk about? I'm scrolling up to see if there's anything. Oh, something I'm concerned about lately is how Europe is acting. We thought, of course, it's because of Biden. Biden's leadership is so weak that European countries are kind of being shady, I feel. Like Macron to begin with. France, man. What's wrong with France? Like, I mean, for national security, they are contributing a lot. But when it comes to economy, I mean, I can't complain because my own country is like deep, like in this deep ties with China. But we are next to each other, like that's just what happens. But when it comes to Europe, it's so far away from China that they don't even care. Historically speaking, that like German warmongers, like those who sell weapons and so on, they were selling weapons in China, and yeah, so that's bad for us, to Japan. And so we have stories like that, and like I have a bad impression of Europe in that way. That when it comes to China, like I guess that Europe to European people's eyes, like generally speaking, like not you guys probably because you're very many a lot of stuff, but like ordinary people or ordinary politicians, to them, those who are in Europe, I have a feeling that to them Asia is just Asia, and they don't see the difference, and they do see the problem of Xi Jinping right now, but other than that, I feel like they don't care as much. And of course communism is something that they should be warned about, or they should be, they're probably alert on that side. But like at the end of the day, it's like Asia is so far that like if they can make money they would, because especially because the economy is bad, you know but yeah, so like I wish that, it's so sad that Shinzo Abe and Trump time were the golden times. Like Abe was so good globally, and so was Trump. Like Trump was not like, is he his diplomacy was different, I think, but at least like Trump had this strong presence and strong policies and this madman theory ish impression, like you don't know what to expect from Trump, so people were kind of nervous about him, what he would do, like we don't know, so we had to make sure that we are following all the things that we decide together. So that's like in politics you have to be able to um mm, be in touch and kind of like I can only come up with bad words like but you gotta make sure that you're in control of your friendly countries or your alliance countries. But today Biden, I don't see any plans from Biden administration. Like it's like, oh, there comes a problem, let's do this. Oh, there's this thing, oh, let's do this. Oh, there, that's not enough, let's add more and more. And it's like it's not like I don't see strategy from Biden administration. And me, an ordinary citizen, feels like this. So I'm pretty sure that leaders from around the world feel even worse about Biden, meaning America. So yeah, the world is like, now it's divided, free world versus all the dictatorship countries, like authoritarian countries. And then yeah, I wanted to say one more thing, but my husband screamed at the super chat. So thank you so much again, Eric. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love your shirt today. In 3 or 5 years, once we have our first harvest, I'll be sure to send you a free sample. Really? Be on the lookout for boobies farms. Cool. It's good for your eyes, right? Your eyesight and so on. That's nice. And it's like polyphenol, good for your health. Nice, nice, nice. My shirt. This is actually a sweater or sweater. Sweater is more like, I don't know. This is hot. It's actually like winter clothes. And yeah, because it's like one day today, like today it's so cold, but yesterday it was so warm. And like every day it changes, like it's hot, and then after that it's cold, and then hot, 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 and then cold. And I'm like, like I'm really suffering, like the weather is literally killing me. Huh. I'm like, I don't know if I can survive in this weather, but I started to work out again. So like at least it's giving me a little bit of strength and energy, and I hope to gradually increase that more, so that I hopefully I can regain my balance enough to beat my inflammation. Man, is it true that the government put the yakuza out of business? Man, I'm not familiar with that. But it's less yakuza now, though. But what's interesting about yakuza today is that the problem that the police has today is that um, some of the yakuza can be Chinese or Korean, and so Korea, I guess, has been like part of the yakuza people. So like they are in our culture basically, so they probably understand it. But like Chinese and so on, like they don't follow the cultural side of yakuza, and so the common sense doesn't work to that sort of like foreign yakuza in Japan. And so that's something that, like, the police can't read what they're gonna do, or and so on. I briefly heard about it. I'm not too familiar, but so like the police and yakuza, even though they have this conflict, there is somewhat like this mutual understanding too, because the police knows that if they go, like if they go into war against yakuza, then they will fight back, and it will only end up in misery. Like it will create a disaster, so nobody wants to do that, right? So they have this balance. But when Yakuza becomes the worst, then that doesn't work, you know. So that's a problem. Don't you think that Kishida comes across as indecisive? Sometimes wants to do the Abe approach, but other times he wants money redistribution. He also flip flopped on tax increase on capital gains. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, just like Biden, Kishida also like his policies today are just LDP politics and not his own. You know what he's saying himself is just no nuclear weapons. That's the only thing he's saying, like no nuclear weapons, because he's from Hiroshima, you know, and he wants to appeal to locals, and he also wants to leave some kind of legacy. So that's what he says. But aside from that, he has nothing. But we as conservatives, we are actually impressed with Kishida because we thought that he would be more like pro China and so on. Like that's something that we were afraid, but he isn't. He's a my husband was saying though that it's his analysis, like it's like it can be read as that Kishida saw what Abe did. Abe administration was the longest in our history. And so what that means is that Abe was doing whatever he was doing in a good way, right? That let his whatever he was doing was letting him be the prime minister for the longest time. So Kishida saw that. And so what's a good way for Kishida to keep his power? Copy Abe. So we're not sure, but that could be, you know, one of the reasons why, you know, I mean, as LDP, you have to follow the same path. Like you have to be coherent. So that's one thing, but another could be that Kishida saw Abe's success and he's also pressured by the US too, right? Like national security and so on. Like we have to be in this together. So like he does get the idea that like we are in this together. So so it's not that he thinks of something, you know, like oh let's do this and do that. It's not like that. He's probably just passive, you know, to see like oh what's here in our LDP politics, like what kind of policies should we have. And LDP is such a gigantic party that, and also they once it's decided in the party, it's decided. And LDP politicians, no matter conservative you are, you have to obey in the decision of the party. So even if you are opposing to this one policy, um, doesn't mean that you can vote against it after it's decided to agree. You know what I mean? And so so what happens is that among LDP they have discussions after discussions, and that's that itself is like a national diet basically. Like they have to talk so many times to decide on their policies. And yeah, so Kishida just is the top person, so he hears what's decided and acts on it. So yeah, he is indecisive. Yes, he is indecisive because he doesn't. It's not like the. This is just my personal perspective, you know. But Kishida, to me, I don't think that he has any vision or as of a country, you know, vision of Japan being Japan. Abe, he had clear vision, you know, about Japan, like strong Japan and beautiful Japan. And when he talks about it, we can get the visual image too, like what he's referring to. But Kishida doesn't have that sense of like a nation or a country, and he doesn't have any political ideology aside from no nuclear weapons. So if you don't have that sense, that sort of vision, and then you can't have a concrete policies. So he just thinks of what to do to be liked by his voters. So yeah, very, he can be very he cares. I what I hear is that he cares so much about the public opinion, so it really affects his policies. So we should be worried about we need to care about the polls and so on too. But what's the problem of the public polls, though, is that the questions are tricky. The media is left biased. So what that means is that they ask questions to benefit themselves, you know. Man. Anyway, I really love DJT, Donald J. Trump. He's my top husband. Cool. Yeah. Let's see. Biden creates unrest. I fear intentional. Man, the the divisions in the U.S. are crazy, and what I'm afraid is that it's like imported here to Japan. Partially because the the right side today in Japan understand English. There are people like myself and a bit of others that are translating information from the US. And then when people hear stuff about the US, people want to comment, and then that can be reflected on our domestic issues, and then they will have opinions because they have seen what's happening in the US, and we are basically like copying the US. And I don't know, I feel like it's it's becoming the culture, but I can't blame only the US though, because I do see the same thing in Europe too. And I guess that it's just that people were doing that for a long time, and me coming from Japan, I didn't see that before. Like myself, like I myself wasn't aware of what was happening in the world, when I was younger. So there's plenty of yakuza in Tokyo Shinjuku area, mostly African. Yeah, I've seen African people just standing, and that's scary enough. Like I don't know what they're gonna do, because they get caught, or they like probably selling drugs or something. I don't even know, but it's like I wouldn't be scared if they were acting the same as the rest of us, as Japanese people. But they're standing there in an African way, You know what I mean? Like you can see they're doing different things from us because they behave differently. And so it's not about the race, it's about how they stand. So even if they are Japanese people standing like them, I would be warned. I would be like, oh wait, like something's wrong. Like I would get a hunch. So anyway, since Abe died, who's taking his place as faction head? Supposedly he was the head of the LDP even when taking a break from politics. Abe was still the a politician and also the leader of his faction. It was just he finally became the leader of his faction, and so that was cool. But after that, I believe for a year or so, I believe that it's like five people. No, it's not that. Like officially, I don't think that they have a leader right now to commemorate him, but there are like 5 to 7 like top people. So somebody from them will become one. I don't think he has a leader right now. Hmm. You love writing Japanese now. Cool, cool, cool. You can write Japanese, can't speak it very well. Interesting. Yeah, Google Translate is much better than before. It works very well. So I use it to check my like um like my grammar, in a way. Like I when I translate, I picture in my head like how would I translate this, and then I also put that in Google Translator so that I'm like I learn that way. And also sometimes when I don't have time, I just put stuff in the Google Translator and then find the wrong things by myself, because like I guess that it's still is like developing, right? Like it's and also like the way that I write my own Japanese or when I cite from other people's Japanese to translate, the Japanese itself is not perfect. So sometimes there are errors and so on, or the nuance, the real meanings behind the letters can be kind of like subtle, and you need to think deeply. So then I think by myself. But usually, like recently, if it's not complicated, like Google Translate, just you could use that as it is. So amazing. Yoko Trump is also being charged in Georgia for a phone call over the 2020 election. So we are worried about how it will further divide the country. Really? It's like, you know, I hear criticism from the right side about Trump when it comes to like Trump is like, it's no freshness anymore, that he served the country once and then like people are getting tired of it and so on. Like I hear that even from the right side. But I think the one of the big reasons is because the media or the leftists in general, they keep treating Trump the same. like like their tactic to attack Trump hasn't changed, and that just throw us all back in in the past, I feel. And man, the left, I realized that the leftists in the US don't have plans in general. As they just opposed to everything, and that's it. Like they don't have any vision. They talk about gender equality and so forth, or be nice to immigrants and so on, but they're doing that to get votes, right? Like from the illegal people. I heard, I think I saw that Biden administration now gives this residency, like eternal residency, only after if you live in the country for 8 years, right? That's so easy. Like if you go, just somehow get to America illegally, and then spend the time there for years, right? Like 8 years, whatever, and then you can become an American citizen. But then who would you thank that for? The administration that lets you in, the Democratic Party. And then they keep talking about all the race card stuff. So of course the illegals and so on, they will want to vote for the Democratic Party. And right now it's half, right? Basically it's like 50-50 Republican side and the Democratic Party side. But it's a matter of time, man. That's I'm really like I'm scared. Like I'm not even American, but as a close ally, I'm scared of what's gonna happen to the US when it comes to that. And Title 42 even. What's gonna happen? Hmm. Yeah. Yoko, do you have any thoughts on AI like ChatGPT? It's a difficult thing. Like, of course, it can enhance our livings and it would change our living style, just like the internet when the internet came, or even wider. I feel because we like internet was when the internet came, it was just the information that we get become bigger, right? And the people that we can get connected with becomes like more, like we can get connected with more people. But AI, it with AI, what happens is that like it affects our thinking too, and how like it will change the system of how much we think and how how the rest, is how we leave the rest to the AI. So I I am concerned about when it shifts. And also, like, even Elon Musk, I believe, is saying that we shouldn't develop AI for a while. And it's good. But at the same time, I always think from the enemy's perspective. If you don't develop your technology, if you don't develop the technology first, then others will. And so, what if Russia and China develop it way better than you before you, so that they can use that technology to attack you? How are you going to counter that? And so that's for me. So I think that it should be developed under like a top secret level, maybe like or like a secretive, secretly. But it's a good idea, I guess, that it shouldn't be open yet. Yeah, because like we need laws, like we need a legal system first. I already see, like even in Japan, we see like AI pictures, and drawings. What's happening in Japan is, of course, like Japanese people love to draw, and many people, make a living or do as draw as a side business and so on, to get a little bit of cash and so on. But what happens is that now, because people can just use the AI generator, their the original content is stolen through AI, but then it's an AI production, so they can't fight back. Like it's not copyrighted, basically. And so like there are some problems already happening. And also, like politically speaking, I believe that all AI pictures should have, like, if you generate some pictures, you have to have a certain mark or some kind of logo-ish thing. I think like we need something like that, because all the fake pictures can drive the public into chaos. Just by Japan having earthquakes, sometimes there were, I think somebody got arrested for this, but sometimes they would post like the wrong picture, a lion escaped or something after an earthquake, somebody tweeted, and then the mass users were disturbed, oh my gosh, there's a lion after the earthquake, oh my gosh, retweet, 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 and that became a problem. But we don't even have to use that real picture now, and you can just generate some funny or crazy picture to disturb the public to get an attention, and then by getting attention you can make money. And so that, yeah, before AI, speaking of that, like Japanese people are, especially young people, like 20 teenagers to those who are in the 20s, they do crazy stuff in restaurants and so on, leaking the public soy sauce and so on. Or you know, leak something and put it back to the dishes, or I mean the plates that everybody is supposed to use, like to share and so on. Like they do that just to film it and to go viral. So that's another thing that's a problem. So we already have that sort of problem. So if AI is added to that, it only creates problems. So like all these legal systems, you know, the laws and so on, I don't think are catching up or keeping up with all the problems that we have and all the technology that we have. So I am very concerned. So we do need to hurry to decide what to do, like legally. I think I'm really concerned about Russia too. The Russia, they are good at, they're investing so much into robots, right? I see all this like walking robots and so on. So with the AI combined, which like they are probably developing right now, and with that combined, even if Russian people escape, like you know, they don't want to be soldiers, but then they could have robots with artificial intelligence. That's like dun, 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 dun. That's really like, it's not even funny. It's awful. But anyway, South American immigrants tend to vote red because they just fled blue. Oh, that's true. That's one side, but not all the time though. I feel like Cuban people and so on, they go red, but I don't know. He's developing his own AI. Didn't he say that we should stop? What happened to a foreigner in Japan who was caught committing crimes? What would happen to a foreigner in Japan who was caught committing crimes? They get arrested, and after that, as long as they have visa, I think they are caught here. I have never thought about it. I don't know, but usually they are treated the same. But if their visa expires, maybe they have to go back. I don't know. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Anyway, oh man, I've been talking for an hour and a half. I should go. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the stream. I'm so sorry for all the delays, but I'm really, really happy that you guys are so generous. Thank you so much. Next week I should be able to hold a stream. Hopefully, I'm feeling good. You know. Hmm. Anyway, follow me on Twitter at Random Miyoko. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, Random Miyoko too, and hit the bell so that you get notification. And yeah, I've been concentrating on my health, so I'm not follow. I haven't been following the news very well. But by next week, I hope that hopefully I'll have many things to talk about this week. Yes, I'm feeling a lot better. Still struggle after I wake up. Like I have to spend like 3 hours or four to go back to normal. But at least I'm getting better, and also I'm treating myself better. I Even the TV shows that I watch are like softer things, like Chesapeake Shore, like Hallmark TV show, instead of like Riverdale and so on, the PC stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for sticking till the end. Thank you so much. Sayonara, Yoko-san. Sayonara, guys. Stay healthy, Yoko. Thank you. I will. Stay for eternity. Don't be sad. I'll come back next week. Stay strong, Yoko. We'll see you next time. Thank you. You're so also supportive. Also, thank you so much for those who gave me super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You will not regret, because something good is happening. There are two things that are happening soon. You see what I mean soon? Okay. Anyway, that's good. Goodbye. Okay. Thank you. Keep the answer being done. Okay. Okay. Have a good night, guys. Okay. Bye.